guys, welcome to lesson 4, and lesson 3 was about indices and logarithms. We had an example on the rows of indices. Now I had promised to make another video on the quadratic equations, how to solve indices that are in the form of a quadratic equation. Now I have a question here that I want us to look at, but before that there is something I need you to understand. On these rows there is something else you can add, that a to power 0 is equals to 1. That means any number to power 0, even 1000 to power 0, is going to be 1. That is an additional information that you need to know. So still from the same book, KCSE Made Familiar, on the same topic, indices, I've chosen question 11, which says find the value of x which satisfies the equation. The equation is 5 to power 2x minus 6 times 5 to power x plus 5 is equals to 0. Maybe to remind you, quadratic equations are in the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0. This is the general formula of a quadratic equation. Now, if you look at this equation, it's almost similar, or it's similar to this equation. So for you to find the value of x, what you need to do is that you can take this value here and say, let the value of 5 to power x be any letter, say m. Then another thing that you need to remember is on row number 3, that when you have mn, it means you multiplied the powers. So when you want to substitute m on this equation, you are going to have, this is like 5 to power x multiplied by 2. I hope you can see that 5 to power x to power 2 is the same as 5 multiplied by 2x. You can just write this number in the way it can fit m. So this is going to be m to power 2, because m is the same as 5 to power x. M to power 2 minus, you have 6 times 5 to power x is m plus 5 is equals to 0. So that is m to power 2 minus 6m plus 5 is equals to 0. Now this is a quadratic equation. There are so many ways to solve a quadratic equation, but I want to show you the easiest one. And from this equation, if you can remember, you are required to find the product and the sum. The product here, we are saying that it's a times c. You take this value here multiplied by this value, that will give you the product. Sum is always this value, and you take it with the sign, that is plus b. Now when you decide to use this method, it's the method is called factorization method. I'm going to show you how to use that method. You can also decide to use another method, that is quadratic formula. It's there on your tables. You can look at the back of your tables, that is mathematical tables. And we also have completion of square method. But today I want us to look at factorization method. So on this quadratic equation, we find the product, and the sum. Product, you said we take the value of A multiplied by the value of C. Here you have the coefficient of M as your A, that is 1 multiplied by 5. It will give you 5. Then the sum, we've said we take the value of B and we take it with the sign. So it's going to be -6. Now what you need to do is to find two numbers. When you multiply them, they will give you a total of 5. And when you add them, they are going to give you 6 or -6. So you can't take 2 and 3 because when you add these, they are going to give you 5. The sum will be 5. When you multiply them, the product will be 6. So they can't apply here. But the numbers that will apply will be -5 and -1, such that when you multiply -5 multiplied by -1, the sign will cancel because negative times negative, it's always positive. Then 5 times 1, it's going to be 5. So the product is 5. Then when you add them, -5 plus -1, you have a debt of 5 shillings and another debt of 1 shillings. The total debt is going to be -6. So that is your sum. So these are the two numbers. Then you factorize this equation using the two numbers here. So it's going to be m squared minus 1m. We usually factorize the value of b and its, or the m and its coefficient, that is bm here. So it's going to be -m minus 5m plus 5 is equals to 0. If you take this -1m minus 5m, it's going to give you 6m. So this is the value that we factorize. Then you take the first two terms and the last two terms and write whatever is common between the two terms. We have m here and we have m here, so we factorize it, or we put it outside the bracket. So if you take m from m squared, you are going to remain with m. Then if you take m here, you take it out of the bracket, you are going to remain with -1, such that if you multiply m times m, it's going to be m squared. If you multiply m times -1, it's going to be -m. Then on the third and the second term, you factorize whatever is common, that is 5 or -5, such that if you take out 5 from m, you are going to remain with m. And if you take out -5 from 5, it's going to be -1, such that if you multiply -5 times m, you are going to have -5m. And if you multiply -5 times -1 here, it's going to be +5, then is equals to 0. Now for you to know that you are on the right track, the values in the bracket should be the same, such that you are going to just take one value. So m minus 1, then you take this m minus 5 is equals to 0. Now this is how you factorize your quadratic equation. Then the next thing is to find the values of m. So you say either m minus 1, this one is equal to 0, or m minus 5 is equal to 0, such that if you take -1 to the other side, it will be +1, and you will be left with m is equals to 1. If you take negative 5 to the other side, it is going to be positive 5, and your second value of m will be 5. Now, after you do that, you go back to this statement where you said that let the value of 5x to be m. So whenever you have 5x, you replace it with the value of m. That is, let's start with 5. Now, anything to power 1, a to power 1 is the same as a. An example is 10 to power 1. It's going to be 10. So you can write this value as 5 or 5 to power 1, such that if the bases are the same, you can equate the powers. So your first value of x is going to be 1. X is equals to 1. The second value, it's 5x is equals to the value of m. The next value of m was 1, like that. Now, if you remember, I said that a to power 0 is 1. 1000 to power 0 is 1. So, if you need to write 1 in terms of 5, you need to express the value you have here to power 0. Now, if you need them to be of the same base, it's going to be 5x is equals to 5 to power 0, such that the bases will be equal, and from what we know is that anything to power 0 is 1. So this means that your x value now will be equal to 0. Now, that is all for today. If you haven't understood, please let me know on the comment box down below. Don't forget to like the video, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching.